Hello, welcome to another episode of Unplug. On this show, we free the minds of the people that have been programmed and indoctrinated by the MLM multi-level marketing matrix or the direct selling industry matrix. Specifically, we speak out against the lies and the fallacies, against the establishment of Amway and Ltd. I'm your host, TJ Masumi, and on this episode, we are going to dive deep truly on the realities of what it's like to be an IBO. I believe this episode is very important because, first off, if anyone has listened to this that has never been involved with Amway, this will be a very good episode to have in your awareness if you ever get approached by an Amway IBO or an Amway recruiter. Second, this episode is good for anyone that maybe, maybe in the interview process with an Amway IBO or recruiter, or maybe someone that's just looking at Amway and seeing, this might be a good, opportunity for me. If that's the case, then this episode is going to be good for you to know what it's really like to be an IBO, because we're going to really dive into the lifestyle, the habitual lifestyle, what it truly is like to be an IBO, and what it's going to look like and what it's going to entail. Because they're not really going to tell you all of that. Be honest with you. If you ever go through an interview process with an Amway recruiter, IBO, whatever you want to call them, then they're generally going to give you an overview of what it's like to be in Amway, but truly you're not going to know what it's really like to be in Amway, to be a part of that business until you actually live it and then know really what's all entailed with it and all the expectations that's involved with it. So I'm going to just share with you the harsh realities of what it's like to be in Amway, especially in my LOS, which stands for Line of Sponsorship, Ltd. That is basically a company that's partnered with Amway that sells motivational audios or podcast episodes. It sells self-help motivational books as well, and they have apps and for you to listen to audios or podcast episodes, and apps for you to communicate with your team through Amway, and that you build, and a message app, and then an app to buy your conference tickets and everything. So I went through all that, but we're going to go through that again as well too in this episode. So let's dive in. Okay, so basically every year, 12 months out of the year, there's going to be four big conferences. The first one is the biggest one. That's usually in the fall. That's usually September or October. That is called Summit. It's basically where like the entire LTD team all over the US meets up, and that conference is just for Amway Diamonds in LTD that speak on stage. So you have to be a diamond or above to speak on stage, and that's where you learn from them how to build your so-called Amway business. And that's where they also recognize new diamonds and have diamond celebrations. In that conference too, they bring out a red carpet in the middle of the Coliseum that you're in. It's usually at a stadium, and then so like middle of a Coliseum, and then they'll have, if it's a single person or a couple, they walk down that red carpet, and that's just for the new diamonds. So if someone's a new diamond, a couple or a single person is a new diamond that year, they walk down that carpet. They're given a diamond ring. I should probably explain what that is. It's not like a diamond like diamond ring. It's a ring where it's like a championship ring. Think of it like that, but it's just it's an Amway / LTD version of a championship ring. And you can go on Google Images and find what it looks like. Just look up an LTD diamond ring. It just stands for a championship ring of going diamond in Amway, basically. It's gold, it's big, it's worth $20,000 actually. So it's a pretty expensive ring, but they give that to the new. Usually, it's just for the men that get that ring, and then let's just say if it's a single woman, or let's just say it's a woman with their husband getting recognized, they don't get a ring. If anything, if they want to request, they can get like a diamond necklace or like a diamond wrist. Sorry, I'm not familiar with jewelry, but they can get like a diamond necklace or like a diamond wrist watch, not watch, but like wrist jewelry. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. Bracelet. I got a diamond bracelet. My bad. Diamond bracelet. They can request that, and that can be, pretty special there, where it could be like, some sort of expensive jewelry, whatever. But yeah. But anyway, they go on stage, and that's where new diamonds give out a speech to the whole Coliseum of their journey, their whole life story of getting involved with that opportunity, and then they share their story, and they share how they went diamond, and they have their qualified platinums sitting next to the stage as well. And before a new diamond that's getting recognized hits the stage, they hug their platinums. To be a diamond, I went through this before, but to be a diamond, you need to have 6 qualified platinum legs, or in other words, you need to have 6 qualified partnerships that reach the platinum level. And the platinum level is basically having an Amway business that has a volume amount of 7,500 points running through your website for at least 6 months. Basically, you need to have 6 individual partnerships or 6 individual teams that you recruited under you to be a diamond in Amway. So anyway, you hug your platinums, 6 of them. It could be more depending on how many you broke, but like you need at least 6 platinums to go diamond. So you hug your 6 platinums, and then you go on stage, and then on stage your upline is there, the one that recruited you, or your upline diamond's there, the one that recruited you, and you hug them, and then you share your speech. And yeah, it's a big deal. People cry, whatever. So that's basically Summit. We've had guest speakers there. We've had Brad Duncan and Julie Duncan there. In 2017, we had we had Greg Duncan and Lori Duncan in 2016 of Summit. And then 2018, that's when we started having new diamonds, so we didn't really have any guest diamonds from other lines of sponsorship come into our summits to speak. But yeah, that's basically Summit. It's like the FED version of LTD. FED is Free Enterprise Day. That's just where only diamonds speak on stage at a conference. It's basically a Super Bowl but of Amway. And FED is a different version, but it's the same thing. But that's under Worldwide Dream Builders and another line of sponsorship motivational team. But LTD has the same thing, but we call it Summit. And then after that, in November, the second conference. Let's see. Well, that was that in November. That it's not really the second conference. That's more like a leadership weekend. I would say that wouldn't be the officially the second conference. So my bad. But in November we do have like a semi. I won't call it a conference, but it's a leadership weekend that takes place in November, where it's usually your upline Emerald or your upline Diamond host a leadership event called Fall Leadership, and that usually takes place in November usually, or early December every year. That's a weekend event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Same thing with Summit. That's a weekend event before that I was talking about previously. That's a weekend event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Fall Leadership, that's where you have platinums or above. They speak on stage. Usually the bigger leaders that usually are like Ruby, which is 12,000. Sorry, no. Sorry, my bad. Rubies that are 15,000 PV that reach that level. That's what Ruby is. Ruby is 15,000 PV that you reach. That's 15,000 points per volume going through your Amway website. So people that have reached that level, they speak on stage as well, but that's where they share their whole story of leading into Amway. Same with if you go higher than that, Emeralds or Diamonds that are Fall Leadership. If there are any Diamonds there, they go more in depth with their story. Anyone that's below that, so as I say, it's just a platinum speak on stage. It's not. They are sharing their story, but it's more like a brief version of it versus like some of the other leaders. They're given more time to share their story just because they're bigger leaders. But basically, yeah, everyone's sharing their story in Fall Leadership. It's just motivational talks to like a couple or a single person speaking on stage at Fall Leadership. That one's geared, that particular leadership event, Fall Leadership. That one's geared to be more like a heartfelt conference where you get to know more of your leaders, so-called leaders. So they're really going to be intimate in their stories, and you'll be able to tell that because they're going to speak differently than they do it at other events. It's going to be more of an intimate, personal side that you didn't really see them in before. But it'd be it's kind of hard to explain without actually seeing it. But it really is just like a more of a heartfelt version of your leaders telling their story. So that's like a leadership event that takes place in November. And then the official second conference, that one's called Winter Conference. That's usually taking place late January or early February. I forgot what the name of the Winter Conference is called because they kept changing them after the last recent years that I was in. But I just know that there's a Winter Conference. That one's hosted by a Diamond. Diamond or above. It's not hosted by an Emerald. It's hosted by a Diamond or above. That conference, Winter Conference. That one, you have platinums and above speaking on stage. Single people, couples, and then usually you'll have like a bigger diamond, necessarily as someone that's reached diamond or above, from either like a higher level in your upline. So someone that's very high above you, but you're still on their team, or maybe like a cross line where it's another diamond that's not your team, but they're part of Amway, and they're part of LTD. They may come and speak at that winter conference as a guest. But yeah, winter conference, couples, single people, platinum and below speaking on stage, sharing their story. You get a couple of talks about technique and how to build your business and what to say to people, stuff like that. Same thing with spring conference. That's the third conference. That's usually in March or April. That one is called Spring Forward. That never changed. That one was hosted by Joe and Markowitz, our Double Diamonds in LTD, the team that I was a part of. Usually spring conference is hosted by it's always hosted by Diamond. And I'll repeat what a diamond is. Diamond is having 6 partnerships that have reached 700 PV points per volume on their website on Amway. And then so Joe and Mary Beth have 12 platinum legs, so that makes them a double diamond. That's the third conference. The fourth one, last one, is in July. Usually that one's summer conference. So it's usually in July. That's hosted by a diamond, your local diamond, or at least as close to diamond that I guess lives to you. But the diamond that you're a part of, as far as their team is concerned. That's summer conference. That the name of our summer conference always changed as time went on. So I forgot what that was called because they kept changing that one. But those are the conferences per year. 4 conferences. It's Summit, Winter Conference, Spring Conference, and Summer Conference. And then you have your Fall Leadership in November. It's not really a conference per se. It's more like a leadership event. So and so those are like the big key events that take place yearly. If you're a part of LTD, at least for the team that I was a part of in LTD, and then so you're expected to go to those conferences 4 times a year, and then including that semi-conference that's called Fall Leadership in November. And then weekly, you're expected to be at an info session. That's where you go to a board plan presentation where you have a speaker show the compensation plan of Amway to people, to guests that are in an interview process towards being involved or partnered up with Amway. So that's weekly, every single week, and there's so many across the U.S. that they take place on different nights. So it just depends on which area you're living at locally, where, depending on where you're living at, it could be on a Monday night, or it could be on a Wednesday night or a Friday night, or it could be any night of the week. It just depends on where you're living at. There's no set time in the week. It's just in whatever your area that you're living at. It has its own set time as far as when it takes place, but it's once a week. It's an info session, and then once a month you have a team meeting. It's not a conference, but it's hosted by your Emerald or your Diamond, and that's just and they have their whole team come together, and that one's where they have products. Pretty much all the Amway products, or at least most of the products, are in display around a conference room or hotel room that they rent out, and then and that's just for if they have people that they're bringing in through the interview process. They can come and look at the products, kind of do like a product expo per se, and then that's also where you can learn techniques too, and during that meeting on how to generate sales, make connections and stuff like that. So that's team meeting. That's once a week. And then Yeah, so that's basically the structure of it. So team meetings, that took place once a month. That was $10 to get in. And then if you're a couple, it's $20. You have to pay for both you and your spouse. And then info sessions, $5 per person. So if you're a couple, that's $10. If you're single, that's $5. That's $5 every week. And then conferences are usually about $135 or so per weekend. And then you have to factor in hotels and gas to get to wherever you had to get to, as far as wherever that conference is located at. So you're expected to do all that. So those are the meetings. So with that being said, with that, you are expected then to have a ditto. A ditto was basically where I explained it before, where you can have like an automatic subscription of products that you buy through your own Amway website. A recurring payment that will take place for you to buy your products. So, for example, you could have it set up where you buy your lotions and your vitamins and your energy drinks and your protein shakes and your protein bars. Set it at any time during the month to run through your debit card or your credit card to pay for you to get those products shipped to you at your house. So it's a recurring thing where you can have it set up recurring on any date of the month to have products be bought through your own payment information and then shipped to you, if that makes sense. So they always wanted you to have your ditto set up at the first of the month, just so then the upline, the ones that are above you, that recruit you, they know what level they're at, so then they know how much more they need to grow past that level throughout the month. So that's why they always want their whole team to have their ditto orders set up on the first of the month, so then that payment goes through and those products get shipped on the first of the month to your house or to your apartment or wherever you're living at. So you're expected to do that, and I'm gonna be honest with you, they'll say that $300 is 100 PV. It's not true. It's not true. I mean, 100 PV was roughly like close to $400, to be honest with you. Close to that. There were some months. I remember there were some months when I first started, it was close to like $400 per month to do 100 PV, and then like to do 150 PV, that was like $450 a month, and then to do 300 PV, that was about $1,000 a month. This changed as I went on through the business, but like, I mean, the expectation for me was to do 100 PV at first. Once they finally explained to me what LTD was and what a ditto was, and everything, but eventually they wanted me to do 100 PV first of the month, and then that changed to where they wanted it to be 150 PV per month, and then it just kind of changed as time went on too, because eventually they would want me to be at 300 PV for me to be a better example for my team that's under me, to be at a higher PV at the first of the month and have that PV, that volume, going through my website every month. So it just changed as time went on. But eventually they expected me to do 300 PV per month, which is like $1,000 per month to do. So I mean, so basically you're expected to do a ditto first of the month. They're gonna cater it towards your finances as far as what you can afford, but they're gonna want at least 150 PV for a single person, And then if you're a couple, they really want 300 PV. But if you can't make those levels, they're going to try and get you as high as you can, and then trying to work your way to those goals, because they do have a standard where they want couples to be at 300 PV points per volume run through your website, and they want single people to be at 150 PV, 150 points per volume run through your website if you're single. So that's just how it is. So that's the expectation for the business side of things, as far as having your volume set up first of the month. And then for the motivational tools business side, you're going to your meetings, you're going to your conferences, and you're paying for those tickets that I explained before. But then you also have to get a messaging app, and that message app is it's called the LTD messaging app, and that's at $9 per month. Total is $9 per month. So the one that I had was $90 per month, and that one I was given an LTD messaging app. I was given an LTD media app. So the LTD messaging app was where I could send messages to my upline and then my downline as well, and then get messages back from my upline as well through text or voice chat. And I could also get videos too, and make videos, but that was just for the upper level diamonds and stuff like that, to make videos and send it out to your team. And then the LTD media app, that one so we could buy your audios or podcast episodes. And then that's where you have speakers speak on stage at a conference where they're making 6 figures or more through Amway, and then so-called. And then then you're given the DOIS app, where you can text your prospects that you're bringing in through through your interview process in Amway, your podcast episodes to give to them, or your Amway podcast or your LTD podcast to give to your prospects that you're taking through the process, your interview process. You can just text it to them through that app, and then you can also connect with other IBOs in LTD, independent business owners in LTD around the country. So like if you're talking to a prospect that lives far away from you, you can connect that prospect to their local possession, wherever they're living at, by talking to someone that's running an possession in their area, and have your prospect get seated at that meeting for an info session. So that's the DYS app. They call it Determine Your Success. So there's different bundles, there's different levels, subscription levels to have all those things. Mine was $9 per month, and then the highest I went to was $250 per month, and that was called VIP. And that one you could also get a closer seat to the stage as well, if you and when you go to conferences. So that's the breakdown of it. So that's the breakdown of it. So it's a lot of money going into it. I mean, if you add it all up, business side of things, you're having to have a ditto first of the month, and it needs to be anywhere from, like I said again before, 150 PV points per volume to 300 points per volume PV, and then they also encourage more too. If you can do more, you can do that through also customers too, and sell your products to customers, and then also of course buy your own products and use your own products. So and then the motivational LOS tool side of things, you have all those events that you have to attend, and then you also have your apps that you have to pay for. So add that all up, it's a lot of money per year, just so you know what you're getting yourself into. And then the actual lifestyle, the habits, I'll be honest with you, it's a lot. So this is, like I said, I was in for 6 years, so this is how it really is. So if you're an LTD, if you're an IBO, this is your lifestyle. Basically you're doing your best to get as much prospects as you can, so that you can interview them in order for you to get as much people launched on your business team as you can. So really, that's just the lifestyle. It's a 24/7 job, basically. There's no set schedule. It's more like, if you want the lifestyle that they're claiming that you can have, which is, financial independence, no job, no boss, no stress, just your own passive income, you gotta work for it. Hustle and grind. So there's no set schedule. You make your own schedule, but they really encourage you, they encourage you to be obsessed with your business. I'm being honest with you. They encourage you to be obsessed with it. I've heard this many times from leaders. You gotta be obsessed with your business, and you gotta think about your business all the time. So really, you are expected to build it as much as you can throughout your day, every day. So basically, it's just the lifestyle. You're basically going out and about to multiple marketplaces pretty much daily, if not daily, as much as you can throughout the week, to meet people. I'm talking about, you're going to be going to Walmart, you're going to be going to Target, you're going to be going to Hy-Vee, you're going to be going to Fairway, to gas stations like Quick Star, trying to talk to people, trying to recruit people, and you're going to be trying to start conversations, because you got to get people on your team to make a profit, and to eventually get that financial independence, right? So you're talking to a lot of people, you're meeting a lot of people, so the lifestyle, it's a lot of people that you're gonna have to meet. So it's a lot of hustle and grind, and you're going out there, cold contacting, and then they call it contacting or making connections, but really all you're doing is soliciting. Because the reality is, we wouldn't be talking to these people if we didn't have an agenda to share our personal story of us having this connection to this mentorship program and wanting to share it with other people. If we weren't looking to potentially get people in our interview process to potentially get them launched in our team, we wouldn't be talking to them in the marketplace. So it's soliciting, whether they want to admit it or not. It's soliciting. So you're going out in the marketplace soliciting. So wherever you're living at, that's the lifestyle of an IBO. So if you're just a person out there, a customer, at a grocery store, a gas station, anywhere, if you're a customer at the gym where you're just working out, be aware that there are IBOs everywhere, independent business owners everywhere from Amway, and they will start conversations with you, and they're going to be very, very slick with you. They'll use anything. They'll be like, for example, hey, I like your shoes. Where'd you get those from? And then they say, I got them from Kohl's. So, oh, cool, nice. I love Kohl's. It's they have really good deals there. I just got this sweater that I'm wearing actually there a couple of weeks ago. And then you say, oh, that's cool, awesome, nice. And then they might ask, how this has been working out for you. Do they feel comfortable, or are they good for working out? Are they good for running, or whatever? And then you say, yeah, it's been good. I've noticed that it's helped out with running and lifting and whatever. So, okay, cool, nice. How long have you been working out? I've been working out for 14 years or for 10 years. Oh, nice, awesome. That's really cool. I love the dedication. And then they might ask, hey, do you go to school around here? And then you might say, yeah, I'm not going to school right now. I'm studying engineering. Oh, cool, nice. I know an engineer, actually. Yeah, he studied electrical engineering. That's pretty cool. What's your goal with that? And then he says, I'm not really sure. I might work for Bobcat, or I might work for John Deere. We'll see. Okay, cool, nice. And then, since they're asking questions to you, we always coach that, if you always ask questions to people, they're always going to want to ask you questions back. You know what I mean? And then that's where you can have your opportunity to share your story of how you got, in Amway and whatever. But you're not going to see it like that. But that's how you're going to share your story of your connections to your mentors. So it's a way to set yourself up to drop your story. But yeah, continuing on with that scenario, say, yeah, what do you, how about you? And they say, oh, I'm working at this job right now, but on the side, I'm actually working with some entrepreneurs that have built their own asset, and they were actually able to retire in their mid 30s, making six figures plus, actually, and they're showing me how to do the same thing, so I don't have to work a job forever, or I don't have to work a job long term, or they might say, like, I'm working with this couple and they were able to build an asset that's doubling their income from their jobs, actually, and they're showing me to do the same thing. I was like, oh, okay, cool, nice, that's really cool, I never heard that before, and then so yeah, I'm pretty blessed to have met them, and then depending on how it goes, then eventually that's the example of sharing a story. You share how you got connected to your opportunity, and then eventually you drop your message, and dropping the message is, hey, are you the kind of person that keeps their opportunities, keeps their options open to opportunities if they ever arise? And then you say, yeah, okay, oh, cool, nice. And then you have to basically ask that question 2 more times, and in a way where, like, okay, well, I can't make any guarantees, but if I were to check and see if I can maybe get you connected with my mentors, is that something that you would value? And then you ask again, okay, if I were to do that, would you take it seriously? And that's the third question. And then, if they all say yes after that, then that's where you exchange numbers and set them up for their first meet and greet one. But, like, you have to be aware that it's a very, very slick thing. Amway IBO is a very, very coached to control the conversation. We always ask questions because we know that the one that asks questions is always in control. So we're going to be very, very slick, and we're going to be very, very kind and seem genuine, and we're taught to have an interest in people, because if we have an interest in others, they'll have an interest in you back. So, we're very, very slick. We can start a conversation from anywhere, and get to know you very, very well, very quickly, and, share our story and drop the message just for people to be aware. So it's very, very slick to really get in a process through Amway. And we're not even gonna say the name Amway. We always just say, that we're connected to this couple or this person that built an asset. You know what I mean? So we never even say the word Amway ever, because we know that's gonna set people off if we say Amway. So it's very, very slick. But you're basically having conversations like that all the time, 7 days per week, all the time. As much as you can throughout your schedule. That's the honest lifestyle. So it's pretty much endless in terms of how many people that you have to talk to. And then you have your own vetting process that you have to go through with your prospects. Meet and greet 1, meet and greet 2, follow-up 1. It's a long process. I'll have to explain that one too. But before that, you're out there meeting people and you're getting phone numbers, and then as they would say, you're putting those numbers into your pipeline, and your pipeline is the amount of people that you have in your interview process to have them be interviewed to potentially get partnered up with Amway. So I hope I'm making sense with all of this, but that's just the lifestyle of an IBO, where you're just basically spearheading people everywhere you go, anywhere you go. So if you go to the gym weekly, you're going to take advantage of that and talk to people there too, in the locker room, anywhere. You're encouraged to just live your life, but have an awareness to meet people everywhere you go. So it's endless, where the business really is always in your mind to meet people and solicit people. So for IBOs, we're slick in how to start a conversation, and then for people that are not in Amway, it's very easy for you to get sucked in because we're not going to say the word Amway, and we're going to be very, very slick in how we talk to you. So this is how it is. So with that being said, I want to dive into the interview process where if anyone falls into this process or has just gotten into this process, they'll be able to recognize that it's Amway right away, just so you know what it looks like. I was in from 2016 to 2022, so I pretty much have the latest information as far as what the process looks like, especially here in Iowa. If you want to write this down, I would probably encourage it, just so then you're just having your awareness as far as what this process looks like. And you might not know it. You might be in this process too. You might not know it. So I'm just gonna tell you what this process looks like today, so then you can be aware of it. So if you're writing this down, I'd put like a circle on it, or no, just write down number 1, I guess, next to it. But the first meeting is called Meet and Greet 1. That one specifically, that's where you sit down with your prospect, and then you just ask them questions, and you're really there just to get to know them, and you're asking them questions that's geared towards, are you outcome focused or process oriented? And then and you'll give examples where if would you shovel up horse manure to achieve a goal that you always wanted, or would you not, just because it's so tedious and so difficult to shovel up horse manure? So you'll be asking stuff like that just to see where their mindset at is. Are they outcome focused, or are they process oriented, where do they just care about the goal only and not really care what it takes to get there? Or are they more process oriented, where if they don't like what they're doing, they don't give a damn about whether or not they like the goal or not, because if they don't like the journey towards it, they're not going to want to do it. That's essentially what you're trying to find out in that first meeting. It's called Meet and Greet 1. Then as an IBO, you'll share a little bit of your story of how you got connected to your mentors a little bit, just briefly, not a whole lot. Most of the talking is going to be done by your prospect. And then at the end of that meeting, if you feel like it makes sense to move forward as an IBO, then you'll give them a book to read, and you'll set a time for them to finish that book, maybe a week or 2. And this evolved over time. At first, we would give them Business of the 21st Century by Robert Kiyosaki, and then eventually that moved to Chop Wood and Carry Water by let me see if I have the books. My bad, I still have the book actually. So you're given a book called Chop Wood and Carry Water by Joshua Metcalf. That could be one book. Another book could be Pound the Stone by Joshua Metcalf. Another one could be The Go-Giver. Let me see if I still have that. I still might. Okay, I do. The Go-Giver by Bob Berg and John David Mann. I'll say it again. The Go-Giver by Bob Berg or John David Mann. And then you have another book called what's that book? Actually, I think I say it actually. It's usually one of those books. Actually, you might be given the book called The Go-Getter. I forgot the author there, but you might be given that one, and then you might be given another one called The Compound Effect. It's any one of those books that over time they kind of let everyone do what they wanted as far as what book to give them after this first meeting. It was usually just only that first book that I mentioned, which was by Robert Kiyosaki, Business of a Century, but then eventually kind of moved over to just doing whatever you wanted, whether if it's Chocolate Carry Water, The Go-Giver, or The Go-Getter, or Compound Effect, or whatever. But it's usually one of those books after that first meet and greet one. And then put another circle down. The second meeting is called Meet and Greet 2. That one is where you're given a brief overview of how the Amway business works. Brief, but we're not going to tell you that's Amway, but we're going to give like a brief scenario of what it looks like. And they'll kind of phrase like this, where like we're going to give you an overview of what it looks like to be a part of opportunity, from looking at it from a ceiling above versus actually looking at it from a ceiling above, looking down versus actually being at the ground, seeing the whole picture. So you're given like a brief overview, and so that mean route 2, they're going to draw circles, and they'll use the franchise model. They'll use the franchise model as an example, such as McDonald's, to explain how how each McDonald's owner is able to basically build their own franchise by partnering up with other McDonald's owners and helping them build their McDonald's business. And they'll kind of use stuff like that too, but they'll just talk about McDonald's, and they'll talk about their supply base is Golden State Foods, and that their university or where they learn how to build their McDonald's business is called Hamburger University, and then after that, if it makes sense to move forward, we'll go on to the third meeting, and that one is called, if you write this down, it's called the info session. Eventually they would call this, and today they actually call it group evaluation. So you can put down info session or group evaluation. Today they call it group evaluation, but when I was in, it was always called the info session. But today they call it group evaluation, and that one would be specifically group evaluation 1, because that's going to be the first board plan that you're going to go to and see the plan. For this particular meeting, the info sessions, this evolved. At first, we used to just have one speaker speak in front of people at a board plan and show the compensation plan of how Amway works. I kind of gave an example of that with Mark Brown, how he did that. He kind of shared a story a little bit, and he showed the compensation plan of Amway. I gave that example when I was talking about my story in the very first episode of my show. But this evolved, and so today that's changed. So today, if you go to a group evaluation, you're going to have 2 speakers on stage, 2 of them. Usually those 2 speakers are going to be a bigger upline, and then someone in the downline. So let's just say someone's a sapphire. That sapphire is going to have one of their downline platinums with them to show the plan together, if that makes sense. So then necessarily there's an emerald there. It could be an emerald with one of their downline platinums sharing the stage. I'm hoping that makes sense. But usually the two speakers that they have, it's usually they're linked together, where they're in the same team, where one's a higher level than the other, but the one that's a higher level is sharing it with one of their teammates that's at a lower level, and that's usually a platinum or above. So, but if you're a prospect, you're not going to know that if you're a prospect. But basically for prospects, you're going to have two speakers on stage. They're going to share their stories, each of them, of how they got to where they're at, and it's like they're going to be kind of laid back a little bit and just share their story a little bit and just kind of have fun on stage and be in a good mood, whatever. But and then eventually they're going to talk about the plan, and they'll reveal on this meeting that it's Amway, and that. But they're going to pitch it in a way where, like, they're going to say that they're not in Amway. Amway is just a supply base. We are partnered with Amway. We are not in Amway. And they're going to say that they're actually in LTD, which is a leadership group that teaches people how to build their business, LTD, and they'll show that on their board plan, and then show the compensation plan of how that works. But that's where you're finding out for the first time that's Amway. It's in that third meeting. Then that fourth meeting is a follow-up one. For follow-up one, that's where we go over. So this will be meeting number 4, the fourth meeting number 4, follow-up one. So that one's where we're going to go over what you just saw in that group evaluation 1, and go over any questions that you have, and then after that, then after that meeting, after we go over questions, actually during that follow-up one, we're also going to then do the same thing that we did at Meet and Greet 2, where we were talking about the McDonald's franchise, but the difference is here in follow-up 1, we're now using Amway as an example of a franchise model, and we're going to draw circles and show how we individually can build our own franchise through Amway, in a sense, and that this franchise is unlimited because we can have as much people as we want in our team individually, which means we can grow as big as we want and have as big of a team as we want through Amway. So they're going to do that in follow-up 1, and then they'll give you some more stuff to read. It could be anything. It could be the Go-Giver, Drop a K Water, Pound the Stone, like I mentioned before. And then on top of that, they will text you some audios or podcast episodes to listen to. Usually that's Business of the 21st Century, or that by Greg Duncan, or it could be there could be some other audios too that they have in the LTD system. But we will continue to give prospects stuff to read and listen to throughout this process, and that's usually after the fourth meeting. And then meeting number 5 is group evaluation 2, and that's where you go back to the board plan, and you're going to see the same meeting that you saw before in group evaluation 1. And then we have new speakers that speak every week. So, when you go back there, most likely, it's in rotation too. So most likely you're going to see 2 different people speaking on stage at that group evaluation 2. But it's going to be the same plan that you're going to see before. And they'll go over Amway compensation plan and LTD. And then after that, let's see. Yeah, so meeting 6 then would be meeting 6 would be follow-up 2. That's the 6th meeting, and that's where we go over questions again that you saw from the previous group evaluation 2 that you went to, your second board plan. And then after that, we as IBOs have an option where if we want to, we can book you in to another group evaluation that takes place every single week, and we can call that group evaluation 3, or and then have you go to that one and then do another follow-up if that's needed, or after the 6th meeting we could just do a budget session. It just kind of depends. So let's just say we feel that you needed more information. We'll put you in through group evaluation 3. So that'll be meeting number 7. Group evaluation 3 is meeting number 7, and that's where you see the plan again, the board plan again, with two speakers, and that could be the same ones or different people. Most likely it's different people. And then the 8th meeting will be another follow-up. That one would be specifically follow-up 3, where you go over what you just saw again with your Amway recruiter, and just go over any questions that you have. And then after that, it's the budget session. So that would be the 9th meeting, is the budget session, and that's where you go over finances in terms of how to transfer your money that you're spending through your own groceries, foods, and bills, and see how you can fit this in as far as transferring what you spend at the grocery store to your own and website. For example, buying lotion, buying toothpaste, buying supplements, buying vitamins. How you can transfer your spending from these companies to Amway, and then how you can budget, going to meetings, conferences, and they're going to go over monthly costs as far as paying for your LTD subscription, and the cost of going to meetings and conferences and stuff like that too. That's called the budget session, and see how you can fit that in. And then if you feel you can fit that all in and budget that, then they'll extend you an offer for partnership, and they're going to give you a night to sleep on it, and then you're going to have to call them the next day or so, or however long you want to, if you're going to want to accept the partnership or not. And then let's just say that you do, then set up a launch date, and then you get launched, and then you start your journey. So that's basically what it is. So I might need to do a part 2 just to make sure I clarified everything, but I'm hoping that this made sense. The goal was just to show what it's like to go through the interview process. If you're going to go through this process, or if you're ever going to come across this interview process of getting into Amway, this is what it looks like. And then it's also just to show the lifestyle of what it's like to actually be an Amway IBO or independent business owner, if you ever do get involved with it, and then just to show how much everything costs along with it as well too. So I think I'm gonna do a part 2 just to explain more and clarify more. So I'm hoping I made sense. And with that being said, we will catch you next time on the next episode. Thank you.